I'm B,
And I'm Sam.
and we're two best friends who like to talk shit about smut, wingspan.
And sometimes books.
And welcome to our Author Spotlight, where twice a month we like to sit down to talk about our favourite books.
Completely spoiler free and the perfect way to top up the TBR. Hello.
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's our last Author Spotlight of the season.
I was going to say, not ever.
No, just of the season.
Feels like so long ago that we picked all of these.
And also,
now we're at the end.
I know, and also this was kind of like the one that made us think, oh, we need to maybe make something of this.
Yeah.
Because Dublin and Kendsley, I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I am. Emailed us like a hot minute ago, and they were like one of the first authors that like emailed us and was like, "Hey, we'd love to send you a book," like, and so on. And then because we'd had quite a few, then after that in succession, we were like, "Okay, maybe we need to like."
I know, and then obviously because we did a random generator, they came out last.
But it's lined up with the book two, so kind of like at that point, I remember at the beginning thinking,
the stars aligned.
Exactly, now it has. So we will be back the first Monday in May with our new season of Author Spotlight.
Yes.
It'll be back to Sam first.
No,
me
first.
No, scrap that. It'll be me first, then Sam at the end of the month. So we'll have our new ones very soon.
Yes.
Anything else before we... I was going to try and say shoot into Shot in the Dark. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay. Shot in the Dark by Dublin and Kendsley. They are a writing duo, which
Love
I think
that.
our first on the author spot. Our first in general?
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, we've read Duskbound, but we haven't like done an episode on Duskbound. But yeah, so they are a writing duo.
We haven't read Duskbound. We're such liars. We've read
Riftborn. So obviously they both got individual bios, so I'm just going to quickly go over each of them. So Mary Dublin was born and raised in the heart of Florida and has a passion for storytelling since childhood. Her love for words began at a young age, where she found solace in books that transported her to fantastical worlds and inspired her to begin dreaming of her own stories. After completing a bachelor's degree in character animation and emerging media, Mary went on to pursue a career in communications and take on a dream of becoming a writer. With her unique style of writing, Mary's books are a blend of aching romance, heart-pounding drama, and suspense. Her characters are flawed, complex, and leave a lasting impression on her readers. Apart from writing, Mary is a passionate traveller, and her experience in different parts of the world inspire elements of her novels. When she's not writing, she can be found practicing yoga, trying new hiking trails, or curled up with a good book on a rainy day.
Love that.
Anne Kendsley is a writer from South Texas with a passion for weaving stories that explore the fantastical and surreal. Growing up, she developed a deep appreciation for the power of storytelling and started writing her own tales at a young age. Her love for fantasy and sci-fi has carried her to writing today, blending with dark, grittier themes. Ultimately, she loves to explore complex characters who stand resilient against societal, that's a big one, breakdown while finding beauty in harsh and unforgiving world. When she's not devouring one book after the other or daydreaming about her next story, she's taking a walk in the woods or cozying up with her video games. What I just wanted to add here is that Dublin and Kendsley, and this is what I've got from Threads, so like if you're listening to this and I'm quoting you wrong, like before when I told everyone an author was Welsh and she wasn't Welsh, like not even a little bit, but I'm pretty certain I read their threads earlier, that they actually came up with this concept for Shot in the Dark in high school together.
Wow.
And like used to write together and then like never like took it seriously. Now it has actually made it into a full novel.
Love that.
Love that for them. So, A Shot in the Dark, curiosity comes at a price. So, I'll do the blurb and I'll tell you where you can find it. Oh, this is a KU book, just snaps for KU. Obey the curfew, never fly past Alicia's boundaries, above all, never speak to humans. 21 summers, Sylvia has evaded the ironclad rules set by her village, driven by an unstable curiosity to know the world beyond the confines of the Willow. her fellow fairies called home. Her ventures often lead her to the vacant human mansion beyond Alicia's forest, where ghosts whisper and ancient treasures beckon in the darkness. Her exploration is shattered by a bullet through her wing, courtesy of John and Cliff, seasoned monster hunters who suspect her involvement in gruesome disappearances. A harrowing captivity transforms into an unlikely alliance when Sylvia saves John's life by sealing a magical pact with an enigmatic ancient. Fae powers who demand a cryptic price. Sylvia is left with no choice but to stay by John's side while he and Cliff hunt for a ruthless werewolf determined to free herself from the ancient settlement. Perfect for fans of Supernatural and R.J. Anderson's Knife, Shot in the Dark is an action-packed urban fantasy novel that explores the courage it takes to embrace our true identity, entwined with haunting themes of forbidden love and found family.
That sounds amazing.
And this is going to be one of those ones, and like I'm not just saying this now, where I can give you literally maybe the first 3 chapters and then you're like, I can't tell you anymore because it's too much of a giveaway.
Love it.
Like I said, it's on KU. They actually have the audiobook of it coming out soon. The hardcover on Amazon is £23.38 and the paperback is £14.30. They also really kindly sent us this paperback, so we're very lucky to own these, and they're beautiful.
They are.
And just while we are on the Kindle price is £4.83 if you're not a KU subscriber. And just while we're on the topic, book 2 is out on the 29th of May, which is called Hunted in the Shadows, Spellbinding Enemies to Lovers Urban Fantasy. That is also available on Amazon and is also going to be on KU.
And is it a follow-on from this book?
Yes, it's a sequel. Yep, direct sequel. They've actually, again, when I was doing research earlier on Twitter, said that it's going to be, I believe, a 6 to 7 book series.
Wow. Snaps. Go on, girls.
So, do you know what? When I was reading this, all I kept thinking in the beginning was, Sam's going to be fucking gutted she didn't get this one, because this is a bit of you. Because I know you're a fan of Supernatural and you fucking love, like, Disney, right?
Yeah.
And the main character, the FMC Sylvia, is a fairy. I would say physically think Tinkerbell, but more modern. She is sassy, but not quite maybe as sassy as like a Tinkerbell character.
Okay.
Think more Tinkerbell, like, is it called like, what are the, the movies, like the recent, that kind of vibe.
Okay.
So that's what the vibe you're thinking of where she's from. It's like Alicia is where all the fairies live. There's fire fairies, ice fairies, ones that like connect to animals, all like elements, love it. She's an ice fairy. That's her, like where her powers lie. Her mother, though, is a fire fairy.
Right.
Her sister, she's got a younger sister called Hazel, who's still too little to like know what she's still training. And her father, who has died, was also an ice fairy.
Right. Okay.
The opening chapter is wild. It starts off that she has snuck out of Alicia and found this abandoned, like haunted mansion in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So it's urban fantasy, so it's real world.
Yeah.
And this ghost is talking to her, and she's been visiting this mansion basically to like pinch like knickknacks that have been left behind. Like she's fascinated with like these beads from this bracelet and takes them back for her little sister. And there's this ghost that keeps talking to her. But while she's there, humans keep visiting the mansion, and she's like, that's really fucking bizarre. Like, why are these? She almost gets caught the first time by the humans. She almost gets seen. So you definitely get the vibe that like she's not to be seen. She's not to fraternize with humans. Humans are the big bad. She manages to evade them in the first chapter, goes back to home, and you see like her life. You see that she's kind of training to become possibly I don't want to say a warrior, like a servant's not the word, like a sentry in the guard that patrols the land, because they're very secluded. The fairies are like, we don't fuck with the outside world. They're gonna kill us. But she's like, don't really want to do that. You get a scene where she's training with the other ice fairies, and even though they're supposed to be doing like a combat, they're not supposed to like really hurt each other. Their whole idea is like, we go on the offensive, not the attack. They're it's all about surviving, keeping us, safe. Yeah. And she's mega wild powerful. also the magic system is they cast their spells by like reciting verses.
Oh,
so that's really
okay. Yeah, very
interesting.
interesting.
But she basically, in her one-to-one training, like ends up putting like a knife to this guy, like an ice knife to this guy's throat, and the trainer's like, get the fuck out, go home, like get out of here, you're done for the day, I'm not having you, like
Yeah.
behave like this. So she's very much like not happy with her life. She's always got this call to like go beyond the borders, which she's not supposed to, and she keeps wanting to go back to this haunted house. When she's at the haunted house the first time, there's mention that there's hunters in the area. So you kind of get the description that a hunter is human, or they are human, but the fairies think that they're like also part demons.
Right, okay.
But they are hunting like any supernatural creatures.
Okay.
But you get the impression that they don't really know about fairies. They're super, super secret, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting things like, you know, banshees, kelpies, like other things you've heard of in like mythical creatures. It'll come as no surprise because this is exactly how Dublin and Kendsley like sell their book, is that the duo of the hunters are Dean and Sam Winchester. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
From Supernatural. Like, they've got differences, if you know what I mean. They're not literally like, but in a nutshell, that's who they are. After having a bit too much wine and a little fairy revel one night, she's a bit too much hard celebrating, and she also kind of has like a bit of a thing with her childhood best friend who's also a fairy. So they get a bit comfy that night, of a bit of a, you know.
Yeah.
But she keeps thinking, is he like the love of my life, this childhood friend? Is this the one? And he comes out and says, I love you. Like, I'm so in love with you. And she's like, oh, okay. So she says, I think I'm ready to tell him that too, but he needs to know everything about me. He needs to know that I'm like sneaking out all the time.
Yeah.
I've got this want to like wander. I want to go beyond. And she tells him, and he's like, goes fucking mental, basically. And she's like, ugh, red flag. Like, I knew he wasn't the, I knew he wasn't the one. In her like kind of drunken frustration, she runs off and she goes back to the mansion.
Okay.
So she sees her ghost friend. I think her ghost friend is called Alice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's called Alice. And she starts, when she's looking around the mansion again, realize that like it actually seems like Alice lived in this mansion. There's lots of photos of her and like her family. She's like, what happened to them? Like the way the mansion's been left is quite like violent, if you know what I mean. Everything's like ripped up. So she's talking to Alice, like just, you know, in the mansion. And the next thing she knows, two hunters show up who are called Cliff and John, which are effectively our Dean and Sam. Is that what they're called? Yeah. So they're obviously not looking for her, but she's stuck. So she's trying to hide in like the shadows. And they can't see the ghost either. They can't see Alice, but Alice is like screaming, getting really upset that they're there. They were obviously looking for something else, but she can't figure out what. Yeah. She's just trying not to get seen, but Alice keeps like goading them, and she's really worried that she's going to get seen in the shadows. She basically does a run for it, and one of them just fires a bullet on a random, and she's not big. Like, we're talking like Tinkerbell size. Yeah. Like, she's like this big, and it hits her wing, and it shoots a hole through her wing. And she's like blind in pain, and it's dual POV. So then it switches to one of the hunters called John, who, if I'm right, is Dean, kind of supposed to be Dean Winchester, which is the one from Gilmore Girls, right? He's.
I've never seen Gilmore Girls. Dean is Jensen Ackles.
This is the end of the podcast.
Dean is Jensen Ackles.
Then no.
So Sam is
Sam. He plays Dean in. That's so confusing because the character he plays in Gilmore Girls is called Dean.
I can't think what his name is.
Seen Gilmore Girls. Jason Padalecki, is that how you say it?
Not Jason though, is it? It is Padalecki.
Oh, it's not Jason.
No.
I feel like if Mary and Anna are listening to this, they're going to be like screaming, like, how don't you know their fucking names? Sorry, guys.
Jared
Padalecki, not Jason. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I need to watch Supernatural.
Yeah, you do.
You've been telling me this for ages.
Dean Winchester, the things I would do for him.
Because I'm a huge fan of
Jared Padalecki.
No, the other, him, because he's Dean from Gilmore Girls. Yeah, he's like my childhood crush when I was like 11. But what's the other one called?
Jensen Ackles.
Because I've seen The Boys. That's how I know him, is from The Boys. Like you said, the things that I would do to that man.
Jared Padalecki's in the next season of The Boys.
Yes. I have seen. I'm very excited. So John is Sam Winchester, kind of like based off of the art that they've posted. I'm just going off like. So you get scenes from him, and they take Sylvia back to heal her, and they take her back to their room, and she's very frosty and doesn't really want to get to know them.
Ice bun.
Oh, I didn't even intend that. What I didn't mention is you get the vibe that something really off happened with her dad. So her dad who died was like, I think if I'm right in saying he was serving in like the guard, and her mum talks about him and her being like the most powerful ice and the most powerful fire fairies, and they kind of like hated each other, but then they fell in love. So he was like this really super powerful, like a really respected fairy.
Yeah.
And then he kind of went off on a bit of a tangent, and it ends up getting him killed. I can't go too much into that, because I'm just trying to think of the first, like, what I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I feel like if I go into anything else, I'm just like, it's just a bit too much of a spoiler. Oh. I can't. I'm trying to think if I can say anything else, but I don't think I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Are you ready for questions?
I think so, yes.
Okay. What was your favourite part of the book?
My favourite part of the book, right, and this is surprising because I'm not anti-urban, right? It just isn't always my favourite thing. Like, sometimes we talk about this with the Holly Black book. I'll read it and I'm so in my Holly Black world, and then it's like Pardon's eating pizza.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like,
no, he's not.
Yeah. No, he's not. But I actually really enjoyed that about this book, because I'm not saying that Holly Black doesn't do it well. Like, she does. I don't know. It was just something about the way that Dublin and Kendsley do it. I think, do you know what I think it is? I think because you've got two MMCs and an FMC, and they're from two different worlds.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a really nice balance.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the urban elements of it, and the way that Cliff and John like talk is really funny.
Okay.
They kind of speak, and I don't know if this is how they speak in Supernatural. It might not be, but the way they speak reminds me of, like, The Sopranos,
right?
Like, Italian Americans, like they speak kind of like an Italian American. Not all the time, but sometimes, and it's really funny.
Okay.
And they're like, it's funny because they're talking to a fairy, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're on about. Like, they say like capiche all the time, and she's like,
who?
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed that in this. And again, I can't say too much, but like, the way that what John and Cliff do as hunters, and the way that like all the demons are like incorporated into the world is really clever.
Okay.
I can't say much more than that.
Okay. Did you race to the end, or was it a slow burn?
No, I raced to the end. It's not particularly long, not tiny, but not long. It's like a really, like, like sweet spot size. Obviously, I haven't seen book 2, but I got the vibe that it isn't humongous from like the pics they put up in general. So yeah, it's just one of those books that, like, honestly, you can do it in one sitting. Like a 4-hour session, done. Stunning.
Which scene has stuck with you the most?
It's the scene where it switches from Sylvia's POV to John's, where she gets shot when they accidentally shoot her with their wing. Because I didn't read the blurb before starting it, so I didn't know
you weren't
that.
expecting it.
And the way they write it, like the tension, because it's like really tense with her like flying around trying to hide, and then she just says like, something, and then all I felt was pain, and I looked up and there's a hole in my wing, and it's just like,
wow.
Yeah, it was really good.
Would you want to read another book by these authors?
Yes, book 2 straight away. Yes, please.
Stunning. What surprised you most about this book?
Do you know what, though? There's 2 MMCs.
Yeah.
And not in a like, why choosy way.
Yeah.
But that's not super common in romantasy, where you have a male character that isn't a love interest. But I actually really enjoyed it, and I think
sounds so up my street. Yeah,
you'd fucking love it. Honestly, you'd literally devour it. Like, I really enjoyed it, but as soon as there's like in one chapter, I think it's Cliff, makes a joke when they see Sylvia, and he says like, what in the fucking Disney is this, because they've never seen like a fairy. And as soon as I was reading it, I was like, you would love this.
Exciting. How did your opinion of this book change as you read it?
I It's like, I'd say about 10 chapters, maybe. Yeah, about 10 chapters, because they're not long chapters, which is lovely. I kind of felt like I had an idea. Like, okay, she's, without going too much into it, they're going to team up together, they're working together, this is the situation. But then when you really get into like what's really going on, I can't go into it too much. Like the more of like who's the villain aspect of it, I guess, to put it.
Ooh, okay.
It became, not that I didn't think it'd be complex, that's not the right word, but it became, I think there was a lot more like of a mystery subplot to it than I expected.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How does this book's title work in relation to the book's content?
Fucking genius. And also, that's all we do is sing it.
Shot in the dark and you're to blame. Love it.
Yeah.
Did this book remind you of any others?
Yes. It gave me big Holly Black vibes. Like,
love that.
But particularly, I would say, I think I've read Tithe and Valiant.
Yeah.
And Ironside, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
But I didn't read the one, which I think is Ironside. The middle one?
I don't know the order.
I read the two about Rathrobe and Rye, Daddy. The first and the third. I think that's Tithe and Ironside. No, Tithe and Valiant, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, but that trilogy of Holly Black books, which are the first she wrote before The Cruel Prince, it gave me those vibes. Like the balance, the way that like fairies are in, because those are much more focused in the human world than in the fae world. It gave me those vibes. It definitely gave me some Crescent City vibes as well.
Love that.
And I mean, yeah, like obviously supernatural, but that's not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'd also say Buffy.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. It's honestly 10/10. Like really refreshing.
I'm gonna have to bump this up my TBR.
You would fucking eat this up. Like you'd love it.
So up my street.
Yeah.
Like nom 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 nom.
You'd love it.
Stunning. End of the first round of Author Spotlight's done.
I know, I can't believe that. Flipping heck.
Wow.
What a journey.
What a journey. Oh well, we'll be back next week with
it doesn't make a difference to you guys.
season 2.
Yeah. We'll be back.